Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bhakti Fundamentals. Today, we are kicking off our Bhagavad-gita verse series. Don't worry, we'll still have our usual question and answer sessions and explore a variety of topics on this channel. But from time to time, we'll intersperse those videos with the short videos in this new verse series. The goal of this series is to take a closer look at specific verses from the Gita, connect them to other related verses, and explore how Krishna's teachings provide us with fresh perspectives, new lenses through which we can observe and understand this material world that we currently reside in. To kick things off, we're looking at chapter 2, verse 40, a beautiful verse wherein Krishna states, "In this endeavor of spiritual life, Bhakti Yoga, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear." This verse is extraordinary because it offers us a glimpse into Krishna's compassion and encouragement for spiritual seekers. In this verse, Krishna, the Supreme, assures us that even the smallest effort in spiritual life is eternally retained. Anything we do in Bhakti Yoga goes on our permanent record in the best way possible. Krishna tilts the playing field in our favor, so to speak. This means that any advancement we make on the path of bhakti is never lost, even across lifetimes. In other words, if we leave our current bodies at the time of death for our material bodies, before achieving the ultimate goal of Bhakti Yoga, which is pure love of Krishna, then in that case, we carry our spiritual progress with us wherever we go. Whatever spiritual advancement we've made is permanently recorded on our spiritual record. We'll explore this concept further in a few moments. But first, let's reflect on how this promise illustrates Krishna's deep, loving concern for each individual soul. Unlike material endeavors, which are prone to failure and loss and produce only material karma, practicing Bhakti Yoga gradually liberates us from material consciousness and allows us to make spiritual advancement that is eternal. This is comforting for many reasons, particularly because it addresses a common concern many of us face: the fear of starting something new when we feel we lack the time, resources, or ability to fully commit or achieve perfection in our endeavor. Krishna's assurance in this verse relieves this anxiety by emphasizing that even the smallest step in spiritual life is meaningful and enduring. This encouragement makes the path of Bhakti Yoga approachable and accessible, reassuring us that no sincere effort we make on the path of bhakti is ever wasted. How many times have we waited for our circumstances in life to be perfect in order to try something new, only to find that the perfect timing or situation never arrives? The perfectionist mindset can be a formidable barrier to our beginning something new or making progress in a new undertaking, including spiritual life. If we never pull up the anchor of whatever it is that's holding us back from embarking on our spiritual path, then the ship of our spiritual life will never launch. In Bhakti Yoga, the emphasis is on direction over perfection. Our responsibility is to sincerely do our best to orient our lives toward Krishna. When we make a sincere endeavor toward Krishna, then Krishna reciprocates with us and facilitates our reaching him. We can connect today's verse with a key verse from chapter 9 of the Gita, where Krishna assures us of his support. He states in the 9th chapter, "But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have." In other words, if we strive to the best of our ability in our practice of Bhakti Yoga, even if we cannot execute everything perfectly, Krishna will reciprocate by compensating for what we lack. He will guide us towards the spiritual goal of Bhakti Yoga, which is to fully reconnect with Him in a relationship of loving service. Krishna's assistance in helping us advance spiritually is always commensurate with our desire and effort to attain Him. He never takes away our free will, and thus the extent of our sincerity and determination in spiritual life directly influences how much Krishna enables us to progress toward Him. If we choose to focus on material life, He allows us to pursue that path. However, if we genuinely seek spiritual life, He provides us with every facility to support and guide. This illustrates the balance of effort and mercy in Bhakti Yoga. While we must make our sincere endeavor, Krishna, in His infinite mercy, meets us more than halfway. He ensures that no genuine effort to connect with Him goes unnoticed or unrewarded. He lovingly guides us closer to the ultimate goal of uncovering our already existing eternal relationship with Him. So Krishna reciprocates with us. And one of the remarkable ways Krishna helps and reciprocates with us is by ensuring that none of our spiritual progress is ever lost at any point in time. This assurance stands in stark contrast to the fleeting and uncertain nature of our material endeavors and pursuits. In the material world, we are often conditioned to view our efforts through the binary lens of success or failure. Either we land the job we desire or we don't. We get accepted into the med school of our choice or we don't. Have you ever put immense effort into preparing for a job interview and perfected your resume down to the smallest detail, only to be turned down for the role? It's quite disheartening, isn't it? Especially when you feel you're well qualified and that the position would be an ideal fit for you. This brings up the point that materially, there are really only three outcomes for things we try to achieve. 1, we try for something, but we don't obtain it, a grade, the job we want, our med school of choice. 2, we do attain something we want, a beautiful house, for instance, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. Maybe the neighbors aren't nice, or there's a dog nearby that never stops barking. 3, we achieve something we want and it seems perfect, but ultimately we must relinquish it at the time of death for our bodies. These options paint a somewhat bleak picture of the material world, don't they? And therefore, Krishna gives us advice in the Gita about how to view the machinations of the material world from the spiritual perspective. For starters, Krishna advises us to not seek permanent happiness from material things, because the nature of matter is to change, to always be in flux. In chapter 2 of the Gita, we hear that the happiness and distress of this world are temporary states. Krishna says, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course, are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. This means that in this material world, happiness will come to us unsought, and so will distress, but they'll leave of their own accord also. This spiritual perspective that Krishna gives us here is so liberating. It frees us from the futile attempt to find permanent happiness materially. And it opens up our time for spiritual pursuits, which provide lasting inner fulfillment and bliss. And why do spiritual pursuits provide us with lasting bliss? Because while matter is temporary, spirit is eternal. As spiritual beings, we are also eternal. And any spiritual progress we make in this lifetime is also eternal and will carry over to our next lifetime or destination. To this very point, in the purport or explanation to the main verse that we've been looking at today, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada writes, activity in Krishna consciousness, or Bhakti Yoga, or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification, is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on the material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at a loss, even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results, so that the next beginning in our next body is from the point of 2%, whereas in material activity without 100% success, there is no profit. Material activities and their results end with the body, but work in Krishna consciousness carries a person again to Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as a human being, receiving another human body, either in the family of a great cultured Brahmana, a pious or religious-minded family, or in a rich aristocratic family that will give one a further chance for elevation. That is the unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness, or Bhakti Yoga. As we mentioned at the beginning of today's session, this means that we carry our spiritual advancement with us from lifetime to lifetime. At no point is it ever lost. While we cannot take things like our cars or our homes, no matter how much we like them, or our credit cards, or even our current body with us when it's time for us to depart from our bodies, we do take with us all of the spiritual advancement that we've made in this lifetime. Krishna himself has designed the system in this compassionate way because he wants us to act on our eternal relationship with him. He wants us to revive that loving bond with him, and therefore, he ensures that we retain whatever spiritual advancement we've made toward that end. Krishna makes the rules, and they're very merciful ones. Many times Srila Prabhupada would say that if we take one step toward Krishna, he takes 10 steps toward us. And thus, if we're practicing Bhakti Yoga to any degree, again, our practice doesn't have to be perfect, then Krishna will ensure that our destination is favorable to our continuing from where we left off in spiritual life previously. This is why Krishna says in the verse that even a little spiritual advancement, even a little progress in Bhakti Yoga, can save us from the most dangerous type of fear. The most dangerous type of fear is the fear of what will happen to us after this lifetime, following the death of our material bodies. To this very point, in one verse in chapter 6 of the Gita, Krishna explains how he helps someone who has started, but not yet completed, their spiritual journey in Bhakti Yoga. He says, such a person revives the divine consciousness of their previous life, and they again try to make further progress in order to achieve complete success in Bhakti Yoga. Remember that Krishna is Paramatma, a word meaning supersoul. As Paramatma, the Supreme Lord resides in the heart of every living entity and observes everything. Therefore, he knows what progress we've made toward reaching him, and he, from within our hearts, as our dearest friend, helps us to remember our spiritual pursuits. He will set up the environment for us to pick up where we left off in our spiritual life. And one day, when we reach full spiritual realization, which is possible for us even in this lifetime, no matter our bodily age, we'll achieve a spiritual destination where happiness is also eternal, and we won't return to this temporary material world which is full of various material sufferings. So even if you feel you can't dedicate much time to Bhakti Yoga right now, remember that you can start small. Spiritual advancement accumulates over time, even across lifetimes. The progress you make from even 10 minutes a day of chanting the Maha Mantra, or 15 minutes a night of reading the Bhagavad-gita, never leaves you. Unlike material pursuits and possessions, which we inevitably must relinquish at the time of death for our bodies, in our spiritual lives we have nothing to lose and everything to gain eternally. So that's all we have for today. Please let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time on Bhakti Fundamentals.